you to put yourself in a position where you might not be ready to be right away. So I just felt like where I was, and I mean, if I look at it a year from now, how much better I can continue to get based on the stuff that I know now and what I've already worked on, and seeing that jump, I believe it could be an even bigger jump to put myself in a better position a year from now.
Was that kind of motivating? You know, you had such a good year, but then you go against some of the other top players and see that you do still have a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was pretty cool because the first two of the workouts, one was nobody had signed with an agent. So it was all guys that had the opportunity to return to school. And then the second one with the Clippers was everybody had, but me, was either graduating or they signed early with an agent. So from that aspect, it was cool to see the competitive standpoint from guys that have the comfortability to come back versus guys that, they're fighting for their lives and their jobs and stuff like that. So to be able to compare myself to those two and know where I stand, but also be able to sit back and enjoy the process and learn will be a huge benefit for me.
Can you detail maybe some of the stuff that you did or some of the teams you worked out for or any of that stuff? How much traveling you did?
Yeah, so it was, the workouts kind of varied. Some were just based on competing and, just want to see 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, stuff like that. And then the Clippers one was more of they want to see skills, coming off pick and rolls and shooting, coming off pin downs, seeing kind of, more competing wise as in like shooting competitions and stuff like that. So there was some were more, go high pace, and more were they want to see the details. So it wasn't as competitive, but or not competitive, but just you got to kind of just relax and go through the process as opposed to just go. And then one of the things that the Celtics had that was pretty, a real test of, mindset and competitiveness was at the end they actually had a 3-minute drill. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it just from hearing about it, but it's a little famous thing they do. After the workout, they basically you got 3 minutes to run as many lines as you can. I think their record was 29, and I got 27 and a half. So, and this is at the end of the workout, and that was the most competitive one by far. So, you're working your tail off, competing against these guys, and then, hey, you got to run 3 minutes. Let's see who can, fight through and stuff like that. So that's a good way to show you kind of where you're at and see where you can continue to go, but just how much you really want to be there and fight through fatigue and things of that sort. So that was really cool to see.
When you had all the information and it came down to decision time, was it easy? Was it hard? Did you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons, or was it pretty clear to you?
For me, it was pretty easy, just because it's my mindset was to not really worry about the decision until I had to make it. So when I was in these workouts, I was just doing it to kind of evaluate myself based on these other guys, but also to enjoy it. So just when I was out there, I wasn't really thinking about it, and then decision came. I was able to talk to coaches, family, and really it's more about the vision than anything, and seeing where I could be a year from now. And it was I didn't get the wrong interpretation from where I was, because I was competing and I felt like I was up there as the top guys in each workout. But that was exciting to the fact where that's where I was then, and then even a year from now where I could be there, knowing no doubt in my mind that I'll be the best guy in each of those workouts in the future.
What was the feedback you got in terms of the specific things you do need to get better at?
Yeah, so it was just continued extending those range, the range. These guys, they don't base everything off that one workout. They want to see you compete. They know, if we can drive, shoot, all this stuff. So they have a good idea. They know basically more about your game than probably you do at the time. So it's just about competing in the workouts. So just watching and seeing, they all did note how, the extreme jump and just extending my range I've already made. And they said to just continue to do that, because, that line is far. It's an adjustment that you have to make. But, I've got coaches here working with Phil that knows how to get guys to do that and to excel in certain parts of their game. So it was definitely that, and then just continue to getting stronger and increasing free throw percentage, absolutely, because that's a couple more points per game, and that's important when it comes down to little things you can adjust to make an impact for your team.
A week ago, I think you sent out a tweet the day of the draft. It was like 365 days. I mean, what's going through your mind? I'm assuming that was related to the draft, of course. So what's going through your mind as you're watching the draft and seeing some of those guys go?
Well, it was also, it made me realize, how close I feel like I am, but, also how far away I am from it. Because you see some of these guys, and a couple of them, we played against, I think 3 guys from Oregon got drafted. Kyle Kuzma from Utah is getting picked up in the first round, the late first round pick, and being able to see that and then comparing yourself to where you were in those games, and that Utah game, I believe I was the best player on the floor. So seeing that and being able to allow that to motivate me, but also to humble me in the fact that some guys that were projected better than me, didn't get drafted. So there's a lot more work that has to be done, but just realizing how close also I am, and that 365 days is going to come quick, and just take advantage of every day, because I know if I just continue to work and get better, that a lot of things can become a reality.
How much of what you picked up from NBA teams can you help transcribe and kind of show to your teammates?
I mean, so much. It's more of the things I got from them was more of my game individually, but it's also, for just the hard work standpoint, and to show that where I was a year from today, last year, in the past versus a year now, when I'm getting the opportunity to work out for these teams, and I wasn't even on their radar a year ago, and now just knowing that they're telling me the things I can do, they see in me that I've been working on, and telling me if I do this and this, they can see me in the NBA and being an NBA guy. That's just easy for me to say to them. Just put in that work. It doesn't really matter, especially these young guys. We got so many talented young guys that if they don't even have to maybe do it in 1 year. They've got a couple years to do, to work hard and stuff like that. So if I can just explain to them that it doesn't have to be even a crazy amount of work that I did in 1 year, because I mean I'm getting close to the end of the line. They've got time and they can work through it, and you just got to have that mindset and have a vision to know where you're going to go.
Chandler, you're probably going to have a lot of attention on you this year. Scouts will be at the games, agents trying to talk to your family, all that kind of stuff this year. What's that? Are you ready for that? And you're probably going to be Mountain West Preseason Player of the Year. I mean, how do you kind of approach this season and trying to obviously deal with all the attention and hype and focus that's going to be on you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes dealing with that stuff a lot easier, just because of the people I've got around me. Great family, that they know what's best for me, and great coaches here that really put their investment in me to always give me, put me in the position for me to succeed, whether it's with the pressures of the stuff you mentioned or whatever. So, and to be honest, I was thinking about this earlier, was I really don't feel that pressure so much. I'm sure it'll come, I'm human, and everyone gets some parts. I'm going to struggle some games, and it's going to get to me a little bit, but I'm just a believer that if I just continue to put work in, that my outcome's going to already be decided. It's going to be a matter of just me continuing to work and having that mindset, because you can only really control what you can control. I'm not picking preseason player of the year. I'm not picking what scouts are going to contact me or not. So I just do my job, and then eventually everything else will just come with it.
You're coming back to a team that maybe looks a little bit different than you would have thought. Obviously, Paris is gone. You got a couple of grad transfers, some staff changes. Just what are your impressions of the group you're coming back to, and talk a little bit about those guys who've come in?
Well, I'm extremely excited. Just from really, I was last year expected to be the only senior on this team as the season ended, and maybe put also a little bit more pressure from that aspect of it, just to be, the only guy up there that everyone's going to really be looking at. To, we do a great job recruiting and end up winding up with 2 great grad transfers. One with 1,000 points career from Fordham Christian, and then another great point guard leader from Valpo. I mean, winning program everyone knows about. Every year their name's up in some kind of tournament. So, I was able to just kind of like relax and be like, I'm still going to set an example for those guys as well, but I've got guys that know them and have been through it, and these younger guys can look up to, and maybe I can focus more on, leading by example, and by example of how to work hard, when these other guys can kind of take on more of the vocal leadership. And of course I'm going to continue to lead through that as well, but kind of lighten the load for me, and I can just focus on me getting better also, and then also having these guys there that can talk people through it and know what it's like to be a part of a winning program.